a world where the number of movies available is great, but many are so bad, you'll learn a new definition of hate. One man sifts and reviews through the movie sludge. One man will be the movie cop, jury, and judge. He goes by many names, but you know him by Movies Merica.
Problem. That's because every time you go up in the air, you're unsafe. I don't like you because you're dangerous.
That's right, Iceman. This podcast is dangerous. Roll that intro. Hey, all you beautiful movie-loving people out there. Live from a red carpet somewhere, surrounded by celebrities. This is the Movies Merica podcast with Van Ebert, where movie reviews meet cold brews. Van will review your favorite and maybe not so favorite movies while enjoying some ice-cold beers and saying cheers. Now let's head into the theater and join our illustrious movie reviewer du jour, who's no doubt got the beer ready to pour, Van Ebert. Sorry, Goose. It's time to start the podcast. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Movies Merica podcast. Welcome. Come on in. Sit yourself down. You know what? I can't believe I got to do this. I got to give you guys your dream shot. All you characters are going to Top Gun.
What do we have here? Yeah, here I thought we were special.
Fellas, this here's Bagman.
Hangman.
Whatever.
What the hell kind of mission is this?
Everyone here is the best there is. Who the hell are they gonna get to teach us?
Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell. Let me be perfectly blunt. You are not my first choice. You are here at the request of Admiral Kosinski, a.k.a. Iceman. He seems to think that you have something left to offer the Navy. What that is, I can't imagine.
With all due respect, sir, I'm not a teacher. Just want to manage expectations.
What the hell? Good morning, aviators. This is your captain speaking.
And we're off.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
We're going into combat on a level no living pilot's ever seen. Not even him.
You think up there you're dead. Believe me.
My dad believed in you. I'm not gonna make the same mistake.
Ouch! That's cold, Rooster. Man, that's like your surrogate dad right there. Come on. Yeah, there's a hefty amount of drama in this movie, Top Gun Maverick, and we are going to go over the flight plan of this movie here very soon. But first, let's take care of some crucial data here first, right? So just to let you know, this podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many other platforms. Give it up. Okay, I'll slow it down. Slow it down, Van. All right. Many other platforms, and if you're on Apple Podcast, feel free to give it a 5-star rating. Just got to scroll all the way to the very bottom of all the episodes, and there's the lovely 5 stars there. So, yeah, while you're down there, just give it a good old 5-star rating. Yeah. And, while you're down there, just hit the write a review button or a little link down there and give it a review. Give it a review like, man, Van is top in his class at Top Gun, or, I wouldn't trust Van to fly my model airplane. All right? So, he's terrible. And then also, feel free to download the episodes. Please download the episodes, or go to the very top and click on the ellipsis, the 3 dots there at the very top right of Apple Podcasts, and there's like a follow show option. And if you click on that, it'll download the episodes automatically. Yes. Also, the podcast episodes are on moviesmerica.com. I'm on Twitter and Instagram under Movies Merica. On there, if you want to just check out what I have to say, all my ramblings and whatnot, you can DM me on there. So give me the one-on-one message. Give me like some recommendations or whatever. So hey, it's a free country. You write on there what you want. Okay, and also, let's get right into one of the highlights, at least for me, of the podcast is every episode I enjoy a beer while I'm doing said movie review because I like brews with my reviews. And so this episode, the lucky lady is one Boulevard Rye. That's right. I got a rye because it rhymes with flyby. Oh boy. Apparently I've had too much rye because I'm, I guess goofy right now. But I was trying to find a beer that had any minute anything to do with Top Gun, and that's the best I could come up with there, folks. The name of a beer of rye, and it rhymes with flyby. Yeah. I know. I was disappointed in myself as well. Okay, but hey, I'm not disappointed in this beer because this beer is not too bad. It's good, thick and hearty. Okay, this is like the malto meal of beers. I mean, it's tasty, but yeah, it's definitely very thick. It's barrel aged, and as I always point out, I'm not getting any kind of endorsement money for singing the praises of these beers right here. Some of the beers I have on this, they aren't that great. So, but this one is pretty good. So I'll be drinking this one as I go through our Top Gun Maverick review here. So, hey, before we get into that here, let me take a tug off this thing because we have got some flight time ahead of us. All right, time to put down the canopy, put on the oxygen mask. Let's go! Top Gun Maverick, yes. This movie, 36 years in the making. Yes, this is the number one movie this year I've been looking forward to. Not Avatar, not The Batman, not Jurassic World Dominion. No. Top Gun Maverick. Yeah. And I suppose, what that has to do with is I think in my teenage years, or almost in my teenage years, in '86. Yeah, I guess I was a teenager in '86. I know. I'm old. I need a walker, and I need my territory. Okay, maybe not that old, but someday. But yeah, '86. I remember seeing Top Gun in the theaters, and man, I just had a Tom Cruise grin from ear to ear watching it the whole time. I thought it was so cool. And I still think it's cool. I mean, I'm sure some millennial will probably look at it and like, oh my God, that's corny. Jeez, what the heck? What's the big deal about that? What the hell? That's kind of just corny and goofy and whatnot. So like, hey, millennial, stow it. All right. That was cool. Okay. It was very cool. Very cool. I mean, I remember when the Paramount logo comes up, towards the Paramount Mountain, and you got the Harold Faltermeyer clickety-clack, soundtrack kicking in, and that gong, starting up, and you got the signage, so to speak, like the Navy fighter pilots called it the Naval Warfare School, or the naval pilots called it Top Gun. There's all just all of that was so cool, to go along with the soundtrack. And then, they cut to the USS Enterprise, they got the jets, taking off from the aircraft carrier there. And, then you got the Kenny Loggins, kicking in with Highway to the Danger Zone. That sounds just like him, don't I? Yep, I know it. And and just the afterburners kicking in, on those F-14 Tomcats, and yeah, just the coolness of it, man. It was so cool. And to a movie nerd like me, I was really appreciating like the cinematography in that movie, because one of the not premiere, but I mean he was premiere, but one of the ubiquitous cinematographers of like the 80s and 90s is a guy named Jeffrey Kimball. And if I start describing movies that Jeffrey Kimball was the cinematographer on, you probably would guess like, oh, that's the look he's talking about. But Jeffrey Kimball has like this very rich, colorful style, like movie, like music video kind of look to cinematography here. So like Top Gun, Days of Thunder, like Crimson Tide, True Romance, The Last Boy Scout. Boy, I think he did The Rock as well. Bad Boys, maybe. I mean, just think of like the color palette, the color grading on those movies. A lot of neon, a lot of scenes that in real life would be more washed out and lighter, but he kind of makes them all dark and dramatic, and so that's like Top Gun. Top Gun had that very rich, very colorful palette, just like you see all the sunsets, and yeah, just very rich and vibrant, and it just gave it that music video because pretty much, come on, let's face it, the original Top Gun is like this music video for this hot new track called U.S. Navy. Or the hot new track called Top Gun by your favorite band of 1986, U.S. Navy. And so that's what Top Gun was to me. I mean, it's so cool. I mean, like Tom Cruise is very charismatic in it. Val Kilmer was in it. Now, when Top Gun came out and Val Kilmer was playing Iceman, Val Kilmer playing Iceman meant a lot to me because I already knew Val Kilmer from his first movie, starting with the word top, called Top Secret, that he did in 1984. It was a movie like a goofy parody movie, like Airplane, and but it was about this character played by Val Kilmer. He was like an American rock star, like Elvis. His name was Nick Rivers, and he gets sent over to this German music festival during like Hitler's time, back in the 30s or in the 50s or 60s, something like that. It's after World War II, I guess. And so he gets sent over there to like Nazi Germany, and he gets involved with like the French Revolution and taking down some Nazis. It's just this goofy kind of spoof on like Bond movies and intrigue and espionage kind of movies and that kind of thing. And so yeah, he played Nick Rivers in that movie called Top Secret. And then he was in Real Genius. I thought Real Genius was a great movie there. So he was in movies like that. And then I saw him in Top Gun playing Tom Iceman Kosinski. I'm like, whoa, that's Nick Rivers, man. that's like Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer was like officially like super cool, because he's playing Tom Cruise's nemesis, Pete Mitchell's nemesis in Top Gun. And so all that to say, you're probably only wondering, are you going to talk about the Top Gun, the first one or the second one? Like, are we talking about Top Gun Maverick here or what? So anyway, I think I've really demonstrated the point that I thought the original Top Gun was cool. Okay, very cool. And so then, I mean, yeah, for 36 years, while seeing Tom Cruise in the Mission Impossible movies and A Few Good Men and The Firm and Cocktail and Rain Man and Minority Report and War of the Worlds and Magnolia, like seeing him in all these movies, I'm like, dude, where's the Top Gun sequel, man? Come on, And I think it was in like 1990. He was doing an interview, and he said like, I'm not ever doing a Top Gun sequel. It's not happening. And he's like, I think he's said he thought, at least at that time in 1990, when he was like kind of more young and dumb, he thought Top Gun was like too jingoistic, like too promoting of the military or something like that, like, okay, like that's something to be ashamed of. I mean, think about everything the military's given us there. But anyway, but that's, like I said, young and dumb. And now it sounds like he's got more of a, at least he's not, willing to spit on the military anymore. So, yeah. But, and clearly he's has no problem with making a movie where it just so happens that the military is made to look, not like a bunch of scumbags. Okay. And so that brings us to the movie Top Gun Maverick, right? And so it sounds like Tom Cruise, the gist I was getting from him was that he was just waiting for a good story. And he's probably said it in some interview, but I would guess that he was waiting for technology to catch up to, like where we would have the camera technology that you could put cameras into the cockpit of the fighter jets, so you get like these really advanced, cool looking shots and footage, just eye-popping visuals from putting cameras in the planes and make sure that they're cameras that you can create IMAX footage of, and it would capture everything without it being too grainy and looking terrible, And you know what? He waited long enough, because that's exactly what Top Gun Maverick has in it. It's they had the genius plan of setting up IMAX cameras in the cockpits of these F-18 Hornets, and then they just taught the actors, how to run the cameras and about cinematography, about eye lines and just visuals and vocals, while they're up there in the F-18s getting the footage. And I think they did a bang up job. I mean, the actors, you see some interviews and they talk about like how they screwed up at first. Naturally, you're going to screw up and not get very good footage, but eventually, they got it together and learned and got some great footage. And when you see this movie, you'll totally agree with me. They're like, wow. I mean, you're just gonna be like, yeah, you're gonna be. They're going Mach 3 of their hair on fire, and so will you. Like the cheesy old saying was, it's like, you'll have a seat, but you'll only need the edge of it. Like it's gonna be so exciting, right? But yeah, this movie. If you haven't gotten the impression, I would definitely go see Top Gun Maverick. As a I guess a child of the '80s, I like the '80s flourishes that was in it. It doesn't feel like it's not like a total '80s movie. So anybody that wasn't born in the '80s or even the '90s, don't worry. Not everyone's wearing parachute pants and wearing British Knights and listening to the Bangles. It's not that '80s, but it's got '80s flourishes. And one of the things I liked about it is there's a certain sticker on the back of his vintage Kawasaki Ninja that the same Kawasaki Ninja that he rode in the first Top Gun, and there's a sticker on the back, towards the beginning of the movie that I found particularly interesting. So I'll give you a hint. It's kind of has to do with Van Halen. Anyway, so okay, and then also it just has a lot of callbacks, kind of Easter eggs, to the original movie. John Hamm is in it, and he plays the commander of Top Gun, and he's got a scene where they do pretty much like a tribute to Tom Skerritt's Viper, where you'll know what I mean. Like there's a scene where he's looking out a window. I'll just leave it at that. And right when I saw the scene, like, oh, that is just like that scene with Tom Skerritt playing Viper in Top Gun. It's like nice call. It's very subtle, very subtle. I'm surprised I caught it, but I caught it, but probably because I've just seen the original Top Gun about 3,117 times, so but yeah. And also, I am not going to do the rest of this review, because, without mentioning Val Kilmer. Okay. Again. So Val Kilmer, as many of you know, and maybe many of you don't know, Val Kilmer was diagnosed with throat cancer, and he had an operation back in 2015. And he's totally cancer-free now, but he lost his voice, unfortunately, or most of his voice. And so he just obviously hasn't been, the Val Kilmer that we know and love since then, at least not vocally. But Tom Cruise made a point of making sure that Val Kilmer was in this movie. Definitely made a point. And I guess I didn't know this, but it sounds like Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer just have been good friends ever since the original Top Gun. And it's kind of like them in this movie. Their characters in this movie. And so Tom Cruise, he was like, you know what? No, there's not going to be any Top Gun sequel without Val Kilmer being in it. And Val Kilmer's makes a brief appearance in this movie, and it's worth the wait. And and he's like a 3-star or 4-star admiral at this point. I mean, he obviously he was a top of his Top Gun class, and went on to naval service greatness. And so he plays as admiral, and he's always looking out for his buddy Pete Maverick Mitchell, because Maverick is he's a Maverick, and he just doesn't want to get out of that cockpit of that plane, right? Because eventually, when you're a naval officer and you move up in rank, eventually they kick your butt right out of the jet, and you basically sit behind a desk, right? And he is and Maverick does not want to do that. But he, I guess, over the decades, they imply that he's had some insubordinate moments. He's gotten in hot water, and Admiral Tom Kosinski, aka Iceman, has got him out of trouble. So yeah, I mean, yeah, the scene with them is very poignant. Poignant, is that how you say it? Poignant. And they use Val Kilmer very well in the scene. It was fantastic, and it's very emotional scene. So. A lot of people teared up and whatnot. So that's not the actual scene for me personally that got me the most choked up. So there's a scene way at the very end of the movie I'll say very end of the movie that really got me was something that Rooster says to Maverick. But very touching moment. With Miles Teller towards the end there, but. And then another callback to the original movie is I think that Ed Harris he's briefly in this movie. I think he's there to redo the James Tolkien scene. So James Tolkien is the guy, is like, you screw up just this much, you'll be flying a cargo plane full of rubber dog shit out of Hong Kong, or that was James Tolkien. In the first one right there, he's like, you're the one, I can't believe this, I gotta give you guys your dream shot, you two characters are going to Top Gun, that's James Tolkien, and you might know him better as the cruel principal from Back to the Future, but Ed Harris is in this, but all too briefly, but he's just in there just to play a kind of a crusty naval officer. And one thing, another thing that I liked about this movie, again, this is a film nerd thing, but I did like, right before the opening credits there, they always have the production company, graphics, and I did like the retro Don Simpson / Jerry Bruckheimer logo that they put up there, the late great Don Simpson that was co-producer with Jerry Bruckheimer on Top Gun and on Beverly Hills Cop and on Flashdance and Days of Thunder, and then his last movie he produced with Jerry Bruckheimer was The Rock, and then Don Simpson he departed this world after that, so it's been just Jerry Bruckheimer solo ever since then. But when Top Gun was first made, Don Simpson was still with us, and so I thought that was a nice tribute to them. And then also at the end of the movie, they do a nice mention of Tony Scott. They put a graphic up there of this movie's tribute is dedicated to Tony Scott, the director of the original Top Gun. You may also know him from True Romance and Crimson Tide and Days of Thunder and The Last Boy Scout. And was it Unstoppable with Denzel Washington and Chris Pine, Man on Fire. I mean, a lot of movies that you would know. That Tony Scott, he's the brother of Ridley Scott of Gladiator and Aliens fame. And this movie is fantastic. Another callback here, as like callback after callback, is they have Jennifer Connelly, the always always just knockout. Jennifer Connelly, she plays Penny Benjamin. And Penny Benjamin, if you've watched Top Gun, that name might sound familiar because Penny Benjamin is a character mentioned in the very first Top Gun, where Goose talks about, Penny Benjamin is the daughter of an admiral that Maverick got with and ticked off an admiral, and so Penny Benjamin was an admiral's daughter. And then another scene in the first Top Gun where Meg Ryan and Kelly McGillis and Tom Cruise and Anthony Edwards are all like at a bar, and and Goose is playing the piano, and Meg Ryan's like, "Oh, stop it! Goose told me all about the time you went ballistic with Penny Benjamin." And so now in Top Gun Maverick, Jennifer Connelly is playing Penny Benjamin. So I thought that, me personally, I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. The more the edgier people, the cynical people, they'll be like, "Yeah, that's kind of funny." Not me. I like it. But yeah, there are like with most movies, there's a couple of points that I didn't like, or that kind of disappointed me a little bit about the movie. I mean, disappointed is kind of a strong word, but I was hoping for a little bit more from some aspects of the show, of the movie. I originally saw that the soundtrack was, they said the soundtrack was done by Harold Faltermeyer and Hans Zimmer, and I thought, like, oh man, like Harold Faltermeyer and Hans Zimmer are gonna be teaming up, and it's gonna be this great soundtrack. And as it turns out, they just list Harold Faltermeyer because they play his Top Gun theme in a couple of places in the movie, but it doesn't sound like he does really any other part of the score. Hans Zimmer has, I think, like towards the end, I think we hear a little Hans Zimmer in the score, but most of the score is by a guy named Lauren Balfe, who's not a bad composer. I think he's kind of a protege of Hans Zimmer, so his soundtracks sound a lot like Hans Zimmer. And I like Lauren Balfe as a composer. He did a knockout job doing the soundtrack to Mission Impossible Fallout. And he's done some other, obviously he's done some other movies there. I can't recall what they are right now, but Mission Impossible Fallout, I think, is the pinnacle of what I've heard from Lauren Balfe. But even Lauren Balfe doing this movie, the soundtrack is just kind of disposable, But as far as like the songs in the movie, there's a One Republic song that they play during beach scene. I'll just say that, and that I thought was pretty good, and fits right in with the kind of the jovial vibe of the movie. But yeah, and then let me give a tip of the cap to some of the other players in the movie. Like Glenn Powell plays Hangman, and he is kind of a mix of Iceman and Maverick from the first movie. He talks a lot of hype, and he can back it up. It's what do they say? It's not trash talk if you can back it up, right? And he definitely can back it up in this. But yeah, he is very, very, very cocky. Monica Barbaro, she plays Phoenix, and she definitely adds some, like, I'm not going to take any, I'm in the boys club, but I'm not going to take any of their crap, and they respect her for it. And she's a heck of a pilot in this movie, and she's kind of she's the heart of the team, but she also doesn't take any crap, And then she's got her partner in crime in the F-18. His call sign is Bob, and I liked him. He has quite the introduction, or the funny introduction at the bar when they're introducing all the characters at Penny Benjamin's bar. Penny Benjamin's played by Jennifer Connelly again, has a bar, and they're called the Hard Deck. Nice callback to Top Gun as well. And so Monica Barbaro is great as Phoenix. And and then I forget the actor's name, but he plays Hondo. He's kind of like Maverick's go-to guy, his right-hand man in this movie. So, but yeah, a lot of great actors in this movie. One other thing that I thought was, I kind of groaned about just very mildly is there is a corny moment in the bar involving a piano, I'll say, and I kind of mildly groaned at it. Probably most people are just gonna love it, but it wasn't really that. It didn't really bother me. I could just picture like people like ugh doing that. So, but yeah, I could talk about this movie just for another 7 hours. But I'm sure that you guys got stuff to do, right? Come on, yeah, but instead of hearing me talk about Top Gun Maverick, go and see it on the biggest screen possible. I'm gonna go see it again this weekend in IMAX, and I can't wait to see that again. But hey, as always, thanks a lot for listening, and hey, tell your friends, tell your family about this podcast. Feel free to share it with them. Don't be stingy. Don't be stingy. Yeah, you know what? Hey, Santa's always watching, and he wants to see that you're doing good things, and sharing this podcast with loved ones is a good thing. And also, again, it's on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all that. And with that, their flight team, let's get out there. Those movies aren't going to watch themselves. See ya.
Hey guys, don't leave the video quite yet. Okay, I've got the po-po. They're coming after me, and I don't have much time to tell you, but you need to like and subscribe this video right here, down below. It's right down there. It's just waiting. It's waiting for you down there, okay? And make sure you watch these videos over here too. You'll be doing me a big favor. I'm gonna be in handcuffs pretty soon. All right, thanks for watching.